right, welcome back to the Brian Rush Show. Happy Monday. Of course, it is full-blown into the election season, which means one big thing. We got a lot of candidates that we have to talk to, and we're doing a lot of them. And now what I want to do is get into more of our municipal elections because, as I say all the time, our municipal elections are some of the most important elections that we have because the people that are running for the local offices are people that can make the biggest impact on your daily life all the time. And it's one of those things that when we get those local candidates, we have really got to make sure that we get the right people. And the best way to do that is to chat with them. And I want to welcome to the show Carlos Sanchez. He is running for the Panama City Beach City Council Ward number 1. And as those that are here in the Panama City area knows, the beach and everything that the beach does is ultra important to the economy here. So Carlos, good morning and welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, Brian. Thanks for the opportunity for me to speak to you and especially your audience and kind of share my vision and introduce myself to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to start off by doing just that. For those who don't know who Carlos is, give us a quick synopsis of who you are and what's going on.
Sure. So quick synopsis is I just recently retired out of the Air Force after 23 years of service as a bomb technician, explosive ordnance disposal. And my family and I, we have really wanted to settle in the Panhandle, and this is kind of where we ended up. And we absolutely love this area. We love this community. We love the family that we've kind of established here. So my background is I have a master's in public administration. I spent 3 years in DC, so I survived the swamp. I'm here to tell the stories about it.
Not too many can say that.
Yeah, exactly. And I also got a graduate certificate in legislative studies from Georgetown University. And I currently serve as the utilities operations manager for the city of Panama City. And I work with a great team of employees that really serve this community when it comes to Panama City. But I want to kind of bring that experience, the qualifications, and the integrity that I have from serving this country to continue serving. Because last point is I put up the uniform because my family was pretty much tired of the moves. At this point in my career, I was moving every 2 to 3 years as a chief master sergeant, and they were just done. And they had a stack full of IOUs, and family comes first. So although I hung up the uniform, my desire to serve is still strong, and that's a common answer that you get from a lot of veterans.
Yeah.
And so we kind of find our next calling. And for me, my passion, like I said, has always been in government. Municipal government at the local level, because like you said, it's extremely important, an enormous amount of impact, and as well as because we're the neighbors, right? You can talk to us, and I'm a strong proponent of home rule, where you can talk to those elected officials, and that's, I think, where the power should be to make that impact on their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very good point. And yeah, veterans, it's hard to get the service thing out of their blood. And being a broadcaster, I've moved around just as much, if not more, than military people. So I understand exactly what you're talking about when you say, "All right, that's it. We're putting our grounds here." How long have you been here in the Panama City Beach area now?
So I've been here a year, thankfully. So I retired officially 1 January, but I came to this area because I took advantage of an amazing program that the veterans have. It's called Skill Bridge, where a service member who's transitioning out of service can partner with a company or organization. And essentially, you're a free intern for them, and they can try you out. So instead of veterans having to play the resume by internet and try, hopefully making it through their AI filters to get an interview, they can actually try you, test you out, kick the tires, and we can actually show what we bring to the table, what that experience is. So, like I said, my passion is in government. So I partnered with the International City Managers Association because professionally I have, kind of that passion to get into city leadership. And Panama City said, "Hey, we'd love to have you." So we came here last July. Like I said, my retirement ceremony was at the end of June. And it took me 12 days to do a road trip from Arizona to here, and we are absolutely blessed. It was the first time in my adult life that I actually got to choose where I wanted to live, and we're honored to call Panama City Beach that home.
It is a great place to call home, and it's hard not to. During our commercial breaks, we'll pop up a beach cam from time to time, and you just look at it. And sometimes I even get lost in the show. I'm like, oh, look at that. And then I'm like, oh yeah, this is where I live. You kind of forget it sometimes. It is a beautiful thing. Which, one of the things that I will say, as somebody who is not born here, raised here myself, and I came to here, I myself threw my hat into the politics ring a couple of times here in this area. And one of the things that I experienced, and I want to see how your thoughts are on this and how you're kind of grasping with this and how you're going to handle it. That is that the born here, raised here, been here for a long time. No diss on them, but they do make it difficult for an outsider. And, the reality is anybody who was not born here, raised here is considered kind of that outsider. And, breaking into the political realm, especially because the political realm, and I'm sure in the short time that you've been here, and especially in the short time that you've been running, you've kind of got a feel for, there are certain people that like to control a lot of things politically. How has that been an issue for you, and how are you handling it, if it has been, trying to break through he's new here, he doesn't know the area? Kind of how are you handling that?
Sure. This is a great question. So, you would call it, I guess, the good old boy system, or the people that have been here for generations.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think there's valuable members of this community that have been here for generations. But this community has expanded at such a rapid clip. I mean, Panama City Beach alone, we're knocking on the door 20,000 residents that call this place home. That's just in city limits.
Yeah, it was 14 not too long ago. So yeah, it's growing rapidly.
It dipped a little bit, of course, after Hurricane Michael, but it's quickly recovered, and it's still continuing to climb. So we have a diverse population as far as the people that have been here generations and we're the original founders, and the people that just got here.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I've already kind of gotten a little bit of flack from some of that community that feels like, hey, you're an outsider. What do you know? What do you bring to the table? And those are valid questions, and I'm more than happy to answer those.
Yeah.
What I can say is I don't come, or I'm not anointed from the econ elite when it comes to politics here. I came here. I'm retired, and I'm enjoying my life. Like I said, less than 1 mile from my house, I can actually put my feet in the sand.
Yeah.
And in that time that I've been here, just in that short time, I was able to witness what happened in Lynn Haven when it came to the city manager and the mayor.
Yep.
I was also witness to what happened with the TDC when it came to the corruption and the financial, just complete mismanagement. And that's what kind of gave me the calling when my second platform is competency in government, where I can actually bring not only the educational experience or the training, but actual real life experience throughout my time in the military to actually make a difference. So while I love my job and I love the team, I feel this calling that I want to take on this additional kind of calling that I can actually bring something real, tangible to the table that I would think would help our city government so that we don't become the next TDC. We don't have the mess that we saw in Lynn Haven. I'm glad to see Lynn Haven the way it is now. It's still got a way to go, but we have great servants that stepped up in a time of need, and I think that's calling here. I once again don't preach from the elite. I don't have that crowd with me, but I'm obviously welcoming them to help me kind of help get those solutions for the residents, because I will prioritize residents in this community.
Yeah, well, the fact that you already know enough about the Ecofani elite, that says you're already dipping your feet into some of the drama that can happen around here in this area, which is
they've already brought it. And I will say, once again, I'm an explosive ordnance disposal technician. I've blown things up for over 20 years of my life. I've survived 2 combat tours in Iraq, 2 combat tours in Afghanistan. And a couple guys in a party aren't gonna phase me one bit.
Well, there you go. Let's talk a little bit about one of our key industry in this area, aside from military, which Panama City Beach doesn't directly deal with too much of the military aspect of our main industries here, and it does focus a lot on the tourism. What are some of your thoughts on the tourism of where we are now? And obviously, you haven't been here for a long time, so you haven't been here for the days of the old of spring break and Club La Vila and all that other stuff. That's one of those. I'm sorry, but lucky you for not seeing a lot of that. But we've seen a lot of change in the tourism. It was a touchy go kind of situation when we were making that transition spring break of getting out of that mess and getting into more family friendly. And there's been some ups and downs and there's a lot of growth going on and everything. But overall, what is your theories and thoughts about the tourism, where we're at now, where we're going, where we need to be?
Great question. So I need to correct the record and be very brutally
You're
honest.
going to admit you came here for spring break one time? Are there photos?
Absolutely. No, that was back in the day of MySpace. So I mean, if you can find the account, you might be able to find something.
Yeah, thank God there wasn't cameras back in those days.
EOD schools at Eglin Air Force Base. That's how I initially got introduced to this area in 2002. And then in 2003, I got stationed overseas and then came back to Eglin and lived here for 6 years of my life. I've been a Florida resident for almost 20 years. And I've done a ton of training at Tyndall, and I would come by this area often. This location or this destination for me is not an accident, or it's not a last case resort. I've planted my flag here for a while, and I actually told my wife, who actually grew up in Destin, Florida, that this is when you tell me it's time to hang it up, this is where we will end up. So yes, full disclosure, I have been one of those people that have enjoyed a foam party or two at Club La Vila. And understand that that's not the tourism sector that we want for this community now or going into the future.
Right.
But specifically now, when we're talking about now that I got that aside, when we specifically talk about the tourism sector here, I think, Panama City Beach is an extremely unique community and city compared to any of the other cities in Florida, any of them.
Yeah.
Because we are blessed with that tourism sector and it brings so much revenue into the city that we're able to have no ad valorem to our residents. So I wouldn't say we're dependent on tourism, but it's an interdependent relationship that we need to have between the residents who call this place home 365, the tourism sector, which brings in that ton of revenue that pay for the quality of life that we deserve and earn, but then also the businesses that cater to them. And while I do take a residents first approach, I am very cognizant of the fact. And once again, this is the experience coming in from my working with stakeholders throughout government in my career of understanding that we need to have all of those at the table. I will be serving residents. I will be seeing how can we help the tourism sector to bring in the actual tourism that we want to bring in, let's say, the short-term rental or the visitors that we want to welcome to this community, so that we don't have what we saw just 2 spring breaks ago or 3 spring breaks ago here on our beaches. And this year, thankfully, we didn't see that, but it moved over to Daytona Beach. So that's still ever present. And that's the kind of balance that I bring to the table. And that's what I'm willing to kind of put in the work to make sure that we have that going forward.
Yeah, that's good. And yeah, we are seeing a lot less of what we saw with the past few years. A lot of that, obviously we can give that credit to J.R. Telemendez and Tommy Ford and our other 100%. Law enforcement partners for doing a lot to keep that in check. And, anybody that's watched JR do a press conference and they're thinking you want to come down to Panama City Beach and be a fool, you realize JR's not messing around, which is a great thing to have in the law enforcement leadership right there in that area, which is great.
Yeah.
The other
and
thing,
if I could add one more point on that real quick, Brian, when it comes to the amazing work that they did with the high impact period, Ordinance 1667, and as we look forward, if I'm honored to run or be the city council for Ward 1, the talent and the experience that I bring to the table is it wasn't just a PCB only solution. It was the amazing partnership that we had with Bay County, the surrounding communities, law enforcement, as well as state troopers that all helped us throughout that. The great leadership, of course, of our city. But I have decades of experience in interagency cooperation, particularly when it comes in emergency response and law enforcement. I've supported Secret Service missions throughout the world. for 5 U.S. presidents, working with different governments, working with different agencies, as well as the Secret Service. So that's the kind of experience that I would bring to the table. Because if we don't continue in the direction that we're going, someone's going to fill that void. We can easily be next year's Daytona Beach.
Mm-hmm.
That is extremely possible. But the team that we have now and the experience that I can bring to the table will make sure that that does not happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. But speaking on that, because with every coin, there's always a flip side to it. And I don't know how much you have seen this, but I'm a social media hoe. I'm on social media way too much, probably for my own good. Oh, let me tell you, I can kill a man with this finger from a distance. I mean, it's pretty powerful. But one of the things that I have seen after spring break, especially this year, because again, law enforcement did an incredible job. There was a great presence in the area that they needed to be. But one of the things that I saw on social media was a lot of, hey, look at what we're at in Panama City Beach. I thought we were coming down here to the beaches. Look at all the police. It's so horrible. What is your response to those that may look at Panama City Beach and go, I thought they were going to be family friendly. It looks like a war zone of police. Maybe that's not where I want to be. I mean, how would you suggest we counter that message? Because obviously Griff, who's the head of the TDC, because of a couple of things that went on before his reign, he's got a lot that he's got on his plate, and obviously the imaging, getting out is a big thing. But what are some of your thoughts on how that may taint or maybe not taint the image of the beach?
Yeah, I remember seeing those images. Pier Park, looked like Fallujah.
Yeah.
So while we were extremely safe, there were cones everywhere. There were guardrails everywhere, police everywhere. And that's what I talk about when I say fill the void.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we've created is this safety barrier. And while I believe it was absolutely necessary from the past 2 spring breaks that we had here, we need to kind of look forward with partnership of the TDC, making sure they're spending their dollars correctly instead of going to Vegas, but actually marketing the actual audience that we want to fill that void. Like I said, we will have a repeat again.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I kind of want to make sure that we focus on. We want to keep going to this because honestly, when I talk to residents during the spring break period and afterwards, that was 6 weeks of hibernation.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're a Panama City Beach resident, and once again, I live less than a mile from that beach, any of the other residents that can say the same thing, or even say like it's right in front of my house, they hibernated for 6 weeks. They went across the bridge into town,
which is unusual.
Or to 30A.
Yeah.
Now, this is once again, first and foremost, residents first. This is our beach, and I do feel strongly that our residents should be able to enjoy the beach 365 all year, all day. I am not a strong proponent of curfews unless it's absolutely necessary. And honestly, I think this year it was. We needed to right the ship. But going forward, I will be cognizant that we need to attract the visitors that we want so that the beach residents can enjoy their beach. Those 6 weeks are like some of the best beach time ever.
Yeah.
And
you can
no
survive
one goes
without
out.
dying of sweat.
But no one goes out.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing, or no one goes out. No one that lives here goes out and enjoys the beach. Like I said, we hibernate for 6 weeks, prime time, sand time. And that's the kind of thing that I want to work with. Like I said, with our police department, with those interagency partners, the stakeholders that we need to bring to the table so we can get those visitors that we want here, that we can all enjoy this area. We can make great business, bring in great revenue, and most importantly, have a nice Mai Tai or mojito on the beach.
I'm all about that, let me tell you, or a nice glass of wine or something out there. Which actually,
there you go.
I guess I can also hit this one because I know this has been a contentious little subject for a lot of the locals. And obviously, we've had to do certain things to crack down on activities that happen on the beach. But you still talk to some locals, and they go, March 1st is here. I can't go have a glass of wine or a beer on the beach without getting a huge ticket or being harassed by the police. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, is that something that maybe we should start looking at and going, is it necessary to keep that going? Have we gotten to a point where maybe we can try to not have that any longer and allow as some people say, a grown-ass adult go out onto the beach with a sunset and a beer in their hand and enjoy it? What are some of your thoughts on that ordinance that we've done?
Yeah, absolutely. And more specifically, you said the beach. No, it's our beach once
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
This is our beach that we should be able to enjoy, to go to the beach and enjoy a mojito all year round. And I say mojito, I mean any alcohol or even just kid beverage that you want to enjoy the beach with, or just
Right.
some water. And so filling that void, giving us the environment that we can bring back real those ordinances or provisions of those ordinances back. Like we need to look at this holistically. It doesn't have to be an all or none. So it doesn't
Hmm.
have to be all of 1667 or we repeal the entire thing. I think we need to take a good measured approach, use actual metrics to see if we're bringing that safety measure, keeping at that high level. And then we could start bringing back some of those provisions to where we can enjoy the beach, be able to drink on the beach. Because we also have to look at the new age that we're in.
Hmm.
So when we talked about the La Vila days, right?
Yeah.
That was the danger, or I guess the recklessness that we saw here in this community, right?
Hmm.
That was that college age, spring break, enjoying it. But we need to be honest. Even though Club La Vila is not here, Club La Vila and that environment, that's not our problem set anymore. That's not our target group that we need to be focusing on, because the danger that we saw the last two spring breaks, as well as the same danger that we saw on Daytona Beach, it's evolved, right? We no longer. It's funny, like I mean, not in a funny way, but it's interesting. College students getting drunk on the beach aren't our main issue anymore. All
Right.
right. It's unaccompanied minors, right, that are coming down here from mostly out of state, but we do have some people from nearby towns
Yep.
that are taking advantage of this, that aren't coming with parents. I don't know what's going on with the parents that are even allowing that. And they're getting in these takeover parties that are being sprouted up on social media at a very rapid pace.
Yeah.
So we can't look at this with blinders of Club La Vila. Like it's not even the same anymore.
Yep.
And so once we address what we have today, and once we can measurably bring those those provisions down, so I would love to be in a day when we don't need 1667. Bring it down slowly, and we can get there. I want to enjoy myself on the beach.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. Let's also talk a little bit about city growth. Obviously, I've been here for 19 years. I've seen the incredible change that has happened. Obviously, you've had a couple of years under your belt of being able to see what it's like popping over from the West. With the growth that's going on there, and people sometimes don't realize that the city of Panama City Beach is not geographically that big. I mean, it's
Mhm.
as I've often referred to, it looks like it was the city lines were drawn on a no-name bar napkin one day, and somebody went, "Here's the beach," because it's just so bizarre. And we're kind of running out of room, but there's still some growth needed. What are some of your thoughts on the growth, and including we can hit some infrastructure obviously as well, because right now the beach is a construction war zone. So what are your thoughts on the
Yeah.
growth of the beach and controlling it?
We need to rein it in. Really, we're kind of just allowing whatever kind of can barely meet the land development code to go in and densely packing in wherever we want. As far as the developers, specifically, I want to take those into two parts, right? So the actual development and growth that we're seeing pretty much all over the island, and then I'll do utilities next. But we're seeing a lot of growth going up and down 79 Front Beach Road. Pretty much, there's no real estate left, but they're
Mm-hmm.
still packing. And our land development code is really easy to just kind of manipulate and get around. For example, this past week, we had the planning board on a 4-3 vote approve a development, Palm Haven development, that used a loophole that was able to do an overlay on the existing land development code to tightly pack more houses in a smaller neighborhood.
Mm.
And it's just there for the picking. And of course, the planning board in that 4-3 vote gave it a recommendation. My opponent actually voted for it. So he supports unrestricted development, no questions asked. And this was the second time that same development came after it was kicked out of the room because it was an incomplete application that shouldn't even been brought out to the public. So you have residents nearby having to deal with this, and we're just going to take it. We need to look at the land development code in two parts. We need to provide that predictable regulatory environment for developers. I am pro development, I am pro growth,
Hmm.
but let's be smart and measured about it. we can actually still develop that same development that I'm speaking of with the land development code that already exists, but instead using a loophole to do what they want and not the community has a say to, because the community actually did put elected officials up there that voted on that land development code that we have now. And now we're not even abiding by it. And that's unacceptable. We, as Panama City Beach, can do better. I know we can. When it comes to utilities, like I said, I'm the utilities operations manager. So I bring that experience, that real world experience of dealing with it on the other side of the bridge here. We're in a weird situation. Panama City Beach, less than 40% or around 40% of our utilities is in city limits. The rest of it is in unincorporated areas. So, one, I will always stand up for the unincorporated residents, even though they can't even vote for me, because I know that it's a service. And if we will provide a service to anyone, then it should be at a standard that we set. It should be a high one, and we should not accept anything below it. So that massive expansion that's happening, I don't believe we're actually measuring appropriately the impact that they're having onto our infrastructure, both on Panama City side and the Panama City Beach side, just on the wastewater alone. We're nearing capacity within the next 5 to 10 years, depending on how fast we are growing. So we're already looking at like, where are we going to put all this waste, and what are we going to do with it? And so we have to have that like kind of holistic view, that balance, respecting our infrastructures, getting a handle of all these boil water notices, so that we're not just tearing up our roads again and again and again. And those are the different kind of things that I want to bring to the table to make sure that we have measured growth, measured development, and that we care for our infrastructure and not just build new pipes in the new development, but make sure that the old pipes, the old clay pipes, the iron pipes that are still in the ground, actually get some care and love.
Yeah, and being on the Panama City side, because I've talked with not only our current but our past city manager, and that's a project in itself because it's been neglected for so long, and that's probably a whole other 45 to an hour minute long conversation just on that. But we're not going to focus on that today. But what I do also want to hit on it, and this is one of the other things when it comes to local politicians, because local politicians, you're most of the time you're coming from a standpoint of you own a business, you provide a service. There's going to be the question of conflict, okay, with the business that you own. How is that going to not be a conflict when it comes to the other businesses in the town? And one of the questions that I've heard about, a potential conflict with you, and I want to hear your thoughts and opinions on this, is the fact that you are actually a Panama City employee, and you've got your responsibilities for Panama City, but then you want to be on the city council for Panama City Beach, and there are some people that are looking at it going, where's his loyalty going to land? What's going to happen when it comes to trying to find grants or something along that type of line for money, and heaven forbid that a hurricane comes through and damages both areas. Where are you going to land? So, I generally it's a question towards somebody who's a business owner. You're not a business owner, but you do have that one thing that I think some people just at least want to hear from you, how you would handle that, because I think it's a legitimate concern, about how you would be. So what's your answer to the people who are concerned about that?
Yeah, always happy to answer any of these questions. So, what someone sees as a concern, even though I might not, is still a valid question, and I'd always be open to answer those openly. So, first off, my priorities are God, family, country. All right, so city of X wasn't in that list. That is first and foremost, and then after that, of course, my loyalty will always be to the jobs that I am set to. All right, and so when we speak to my job at Panama City, before I filed to run, I made sure that I met all legal and ethical requirements that were necessary of me. I made sure that everyone, all the way up to the city manager, was aware of what I was intending to do and that I had their support. And I don't mean like their support, like they're going to vote or financially support me.
Right.
But as far as like, hey, we are okay with you going and doing this, and we'll balance this. And that's something that you see on both the commission over in Panama City and on the city council, where you have people that have full-time jobs and still are able to do an outstanding job in elected office. Now, of course, mine is a little bit different because I work for a different government agency, right?
Right.
So I am a manager. I manage 90 individuals, about $17 million budget per year that focuses on the underground infrastructure. All right. So that's what I do on a day to day time. Now, the scenario has come up. Like, what if Hurricane Michael happens?
Yep.
All right. Now, a lot of elected officials really at that point, because I am familiar with the incident management system and how FEMA responds. Once again, that experience coming with interagency cooperation, uh, they focus on recovery first. All right. So at that point, there's really not much elected officials are doing other than getting on camera and getting support from Tallahassee and FEMA and things like that. Things that I would be more than capable of doing. But I will be on the ground making sure that we have underground infrastructure operating anywhere. Because yes, I wasn't here for Hurricane Michael. I was serving my country. But I do know that when Bay County and that direct hit happened to Tyndall Air Force Base in Mexico Beach, it was all hands on deck throughout the community. All right. We had individuals, staff members, employees from Panama City Beach who weren't as affected, thank God, that were helping those communities. And that's the kind of experience that I'll bring one on the professional side is that regardless of where that emergency happens, know that I will always be there for this community. And when it comes on the elected office side, I bring experience of actually understanding emergency responses, emergency response planning, because I've done it for several installations, both stateside and overseas. And so when Hurricane Michael hits again, or another hurricane hits again, you'll know that I put in time ahead of time as an elected official that knows what he's doing to make sure that we at the beach have the resources necessary so that we have the structures that can hold our critical assets so we can respond, making sure that underground infrastructure is ready to be stood up again. You know, over in Panama City, they were out of water and wastewater for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's because all the lift stations and the water treatment plants and the pumping stations critically failed. We're still digging out of that. And hopefully we'll get there in time. All right. But that's the kind of work we need to do ahead of time. And that's the kind of work that I'll be able to bring to the table to actually make sure that when we get hit again, because sadly we are in a coastal community that
it's bound to happen.
Gets visits from time to time.
Yeah.
That will be ready. Once again, I'm leadership. I'm leadership proven, and I'm ready to serve in whatever capacity needed. So I will be out there with my fellow community, helping them. I'll be out there making sure that they're ready as well, making sure that we have storm capable structures for our critical service workers. I don't believe there's a conflict of interest.
Okay.
I will balance ethically. And final point is I'll say I would kind of throw that question back at my other opponent who does run a business.
Yep.
That
and we've had him on,
that
and we've actually, I specifically asked him that question too, because of the fact that he's a business owner who does have.
Right.
So that's why I think it's a legitimate thing to always ask.
I will clarify. You did focus on his board assignments and the conflict on board assignments, but he didn't answer the question on his business, which does heavily profit from the tourism sector, to include the TDC and a lot of the hoteliers on Front Beach Road that have donated to his campaign. That is the conflict, and that's a question worth asking.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the greatest things about the fact that we do have our local elected people is that you're going to be seen in a Publix or Walmart or wherever it might be, out and about in the street, out on the beach with the family. And
I love Publix.
And we should pub sub, man. You find me
all day.
I'm going to tell you this: if you've never experienced it, Wegmans is probably the only place, I don't know why we're getting off track, but a Wegmans sub up in the Pennsylvania area.
We have to go there.
The only one that can probably give Publix subs a run for its money. But
it's pretty good. Yeah, I've been to one in Upper Virginia, but in the DC area, Wegmans.
Things
are pretty good.
Insane. Anyhow, back to the topic on hand. Carlos Sanchez, again, Panama City Beach City Council, Ward number 1. Again, your website, if somebody wants to not only learn more about you, contribute to your campaign, or ask you a question via that, how do they get a hold of you?
Please. Thank you. It's Sanchez4pcb.com. That's FOR4. SanchezForPCB.com, but then also I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and it's at Sanchez4PCB. So it's extremely easy. I'm very accessible, and I look forward to this campaign, talking to our residents, showing them that I'm capable to actually make an impact on city council with integrity and with leadership that's been proven over decades.
All right. Carlos Sanchez. And again, the election, because it is a municipal, this is the first time, by the way, we're doing it. It's November 3rd. It's not the April or March or whatever it used to be.
Super Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, get out there for the big election for that. Carlos Sanchez, again, Panama City Beach City Council, Ward number 1. Good luck to that, Carlos, and thanks so much for coming on and answering those questions. And again, if you've got questions for me, see him on the streets, be like, yo, Carlos, come here. Let me ask you a question. Yeah, get him a mojito and just get the questions out of him. Carlos, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.